Have you been wanting to read fantasy romance, seen it scrolling around on whatever social media platform, but you have no idea where to start? Don't you worry, girl. I got you. I have 6 physical book recommendations I want to share, and I also have 1 honorable mention that I don't have a physical copy for. Either way, you want fantasy romance, and I've got some beginner-friendly recommendations for you. Let's get into it. Now, if I didn't include this book recommendation, then it would not be true to who I am, because this book is what single-handedly got me back into reading. You may already know her. She is Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. This has dragons. This has a soft enemies to lovers. It's not a true enemies to lovers, so if you are uncertain about that specific book trope, then this is a good introductory. There is a war academy setting. There is past history of a rebellion and children who are branded as rebellions because of their parents' actions, and the spice in this is pretty darn good. Now, there are 3 books out right now. All 3 are on Kindle Unlimited. This book, like I said, single-handedly got me back into reading in December of 2023, so I would not be here if it weren't for her. Our FMC Violet has a pretty strong representation of someone with a disability. She has very fragile joints. If you have been under a rock like I was before reading this, Violet, she is supposed to be going into the scribe quadrant, which is basically the storytelling. They take down history as things happen, and that's where she's supposed to be going. However, she ends up going into the dangerous writer's quadrant and having to pass across the parapet, all while it's raining and thundering and lightning, and she's really got to prove to herself and to others that she is meant to be there, even though that was not her original plan. Violet comes across Xaden Ryerson. This was just the perfect introductory to fantasy romance. There's not a crazy, hard to understand amount of world building, but it's just enough that it paints you this picture where you can actually envision what they're referencing, you know, how they're describing it. I think Rebecca Yarros did a fabulous job about building this world and giving you the opportunity to immerse yourself in it while reading. I loved it. I read it in less than 24 hours, and like I said, there are 3 books out now, all on Kindle Unlimited, and if you haven't read this series, I definitely recommend. Now, this wouldn't be fantasy romance recommendations without a FMC who is an assassin. Lady of Darkness by Melissa K. Rourke. This is book 1 in the Lady of Darkness series, and this follows our FMC Scarlet, and she was trained as an assassin. She is trying to get revenge on her mother's eliminator. She goes through some pretty tough shit, and she makes an acquaintance who is trying to kind of help her. He is a war general. He is trying to help her. He also wants to train with her because it challenges him and it challenges her. But this world building is so good. Again, easy to understand, but gives you enough description that you really can see everything. You can feel everything that's going on. This has forced proximity. This has a badass heroine style FMC. Honestly, one of my favorite MMCs. This is a complete book series. There are 5 books and I believe 1 novella, all on Kindle Unlimited as well. I'm only up to book 3, but I hope to be finishing out this series by the end of this year because I am obsessed. I love Melissa K. Rourke's writing. I think she knows how to write a badass woman. She does it. And not to mention that at the beginning of each book, she has a pronunciation guide. Yeah. At the beginning of each book, she has a pronunciation guide and some sort of recap of what the last book was. Yeah, this is also phenomenal. This one's a little bit newer to me, but I still think this would be absolutely perfect for somebody who is new to fantasy romance. The Wolf King. If you've seen any of my most recent videos, then you know that I am absolutely obsessed with The Wolf King by Lauren Palfreyman. This is going to be a trilogy. There are 2 books out right now. I believe book 3 is expected to be out sometime next year. I think early next year. I'm not too sure specifically. But this is just such an incredible book. It draws you in. It's kind of subtle on the world building, which is not a bad thing when you are first getting into fantasy romance. Even as somebody who's been reading this genre for the last couple years, I appreciate it because I don't have to work as hard to follow up and keep characters straight from certain, sometimes it's a lot, I will say. This is the perfect blend. This follows the human princess Aurora. Her father and the Wolf King have been at war since time has begun, essentially, okay? She is visiting her betrothed with her father, and he has kept these wolf shifters. He's holding them captive and putting on dog fights. Disgusting, I know. And of course, Miss Aurora, she has sympathy. She cannot stand to watch these two men try to rip themselves apart. So she intercedes and says, no, stop. That's enough. And her betrothed is absolutely fucking terrible. But long story short, she gets kidnapped by one of the wolf shifters that she saved. And now she is taken across the border where the wolf shifters live. And they are going to essentially use her for leverage to get something back that they need. And now this is an alpha wolf that kidnaps her. When she arrives at the wolf shifters camp, there's another alpha that kind of grabs her attention and draws her in. So with that being said, this is a love triangle. And if you were like me growing up watching The Vampire Diaries, this is literally Stefan and Damon. They're not brothers, but the personalities are exactly the same. The one that's more like Stefan, he wants to do right by her. He wants to allow her the freedom to choose, essentially, to choose her own path, to make sure that, I'll do what's best for her. I'll try to keep her safe as best as I can, but as long as it's what she wants. Whereas the other one that's more Damon coded, he will be the villain. He literally says, I'm the villain. I will be the villain. I will make those tough decisions and I will do what has to be done to keep you safe. So the love triangle in this is fantastic. Yeah, this is honestly such a good read. I love this so much. I love the characters. I love the story. And I cannot wait for book 3 to come out. Now we have Shield of Sparrows by Devney Perry. I read this a few months back and I love this so much. And this kind of goes a little bit more in depth into world building and certain enemies to the land. So you do get a little bit slower start, and some people did not care for that. However, I think it was so crucial to the storyline and to the plot that you go and take time to get all this detail and get all the background information on these enemies for this land that it makes the whole story. It honestly completes the whole story, and all of these have spice. None of these are young adult. They're all spicy. So in this world, there are several different lands. Every year they have a sparrow. Odessa, she is a princess, but her sister is the princess. She is going to be the sparrow. She is going to be carried off to noblemen of this other land. But when he comes, he decides, actually, I don't want you. I want her. I want Odessa. And that kind of shocks everybody. Nobody was prepared for that. Odessa sure as hell was not prepared for that. So then she has to go and journey back to this foreign land with, foreign people who they are pretty much taught to believe that they are the enemy. Her father has told her, you need to go and be my spy for me and figure out what they're doing. All the meanwhile, they have this migration of these animals. I think they're called the crux. When the migration happens, you need to be indoors, almost need to be like underground where they cannot get you. They're trying to do what they can to stop this migration from happening, period. Odessa's mother had passed away and she was living with her father and her stepmother, who did not like her at all. This was so good. I loved it. I felt like this was so original and it had such unique world building, and I really enjoyed this. The thing about this one though is a lot of the main action happens in the last 60% of the book, which for me again is fine because I think the world building needs to happen so you can get to all the good stuff at the end and be shocked and be invested and involved in the storyline. This kind of has some trainer-trainee trope and forced proximity, arranged marriage. It has a lot of classic book tropes that I think are staples in these kinds of books. But Miss Devney Perry did a fabulous job. This was also her first fantasy romance. I'm not sure how many books are supposed to be out in this series, but right now it's only just this one and it is on Kindle Unlimited. Definitely check it out if you haven't. Next up, we are talking Diarybound by Sable Sorensen. I love this. I love this so much. This is a chunky girl, a little less than 600 pages. And again, I read this so quickly, probably 2 days. But this follows Marin. She finds herself having to join the military for specific reasons I don't want to spoil, but she finds herself having to join the military, and when she gets there, she finds out that they are starting to do the bonding trials to the dire wolves. She is not interested in that. She's just trying to get through and get to the front lines of the army. But lo and behold, she ends up bonding to a grumpy direwolf. And then they have to spend the next 4 months working on strengthening their bond as well as training. And it is kind of gory. I will put that out there. This does have some spice as well. And there is kind of a little bit of a love triangle that happens. It does seem to kind of be resolved at the end of this book. The next book, Furybound, comes out next year. I'm not sure how many books this will be, but this one is on Kindle Unlimited right now. And I know the audiobook actually just got released for it. This was such a fun time, such a good read, and a great introductory to fantasy romance. The world building, again, is very, very simple, easy to understand, and you're not just thrown into this world where you're trying to figure out what the hell is happening. This is a good one. Yeah. And then we have Riftborn by Greenwich and Lennox. Again, if you've seen my page before, I am a fan, a diehard fan of this book series. Now, this is the Esprithian trilogy. The third book is not out yet, but it will be out next year in 2026. I loved this so much. This is book one. Book two is even better. This follows Fia. She is branded as a rebellion because of her parents. Her parents were involved in a rebellion 20 some years ago. So her, alongside of many other children, are branded with this insignia on their hand, and they are treated very differently as well. But she has power that she absolutely should not have. On a pretty unfortunate day, she almost eliminates two noble girls, and creeping around the corner is a general of the guard. And he tells her, you know, listen, I want you on my side, and if you're not going to cooperate, then I am going to rat you out so you can be eliminated. What choice does she have, you know? Go and be eliminated, or go and be a part of the guard that eliminated her parents? Not much of a choice if you ask me. But this magic system is so unique. It does take some inspiration from X-Men magic, which is so cool, which I've not seen that be done before. As well as there's a war academy setting, there is the trainer-trainee trope, and enemies to lovers, kind of like a forbidden romance, forced proximity. I love this so much, and it's less than 400 pages. It's also pretty uncommon to find a fantasy romance book that is under 400 pages without it feeling like you're just blasted with information. This, I feel like, does a really awesome job of letting you dive into the world, giving you a few minutes to kind of soak it in, and then starting with the plot and the storyline. I love this so much. I really do. Like I said, book 3 is due to come out sometime next year, and I cannot wait for that. Book 1 and 2 are on Kindle Unlimited, so yeah, go and check it out. Now, my honorable mention that I do not have the physical copy for, that is going to be Of Flames and Fallacies by Courtney Wims. This is book 1 in the Arterian series. I believe it's going to be a trilogy, and book 2 comes out September 4th, Of Blood and Banes, and I love this series. This is a newer read of mine within the last few months. I just read this book this year, and I am obsessed. This is set in a world where dragons are the enemy, dragons are forbidden, and any contraband of dragons gets you immediately eliminated. And our FMC Katarina, she lives with her mother. Her father and her brother were eliminated, and when she is visiting at her father's grave one day, she stumbles across a dragon egg. And then her mother has these premonitions and pretty much tells her, you need to go and find your ex-fiance who is away at a war camp. You need to go find him and then take this egg to the Dragonlands. That's forbidden area. Her even having this is grounds for execution. She goes to the war camp where she finds Cole, her former fiance. And while she's there, she is training, trying to take care of herself. And then she also meets Darian, who kind of throws a little wrench in her feelings. So again, a love triangle. Yeah, this year is the year of love triangles, okay? And Darian is very much Damon Salvatore coded, so we love that. And Cole is sweet, and he cares about her in such a different manner. Darian would never admit that. Like I said, book 2 comes out September 4th, Of Blood and Banes, and this series is phenomenal. It's incredible. It's kind of like How to Train Your Dragon, but make it spicy and high stakes. So yeah, incredible read, and again, on Kindle Unlimited. Take notes, baby. Take notes. Write these down because you should definitely go try these out. If these have been on your TBR for a while, take this as your sign to go to Kindle Unlimited, wherever, download these books, and read them. I promise you that these are perfect fantasy romance starter pack. And at some point, I do think I will do a young adult version where there is no spice. However, again, like I said, all of these do have some level of spice. If you read any of these, or if you read them before, definitely let me know what your thoughts are. All of these are some of my favorite books from the last year and a half. If you like this video, then make sure you like and subscribe. That way you don't miss out. I'll be here every Wednesday and every Sunday. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a fabulous day wherever you are, and until next time.